All right, good morning, everybody. My name's John. I'm an alcoholic. And I was just grateful to be sober this morning on a Saturday morning. It's beautiful out, and certainly had a lot of gratitude for that. And it's nice to be at this meeting. Haven't been at it in a while. And I remember when it first started a long time ago down on, I think it was Lincoln Street. Used to go there all the time. Really enjoyed it, and it's pretty packed here today, so I'll try to make it brief. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can share on this particular step. Haven't had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, and trying to carry this message to another alcoholic. And then the second part is practice these principles in all our affairs. And I was actually thrown off a little because you guys start on 98 here, and I think some of the other meetings start at 96, but I guess it doesn't really matter, you know. I was thinking, like practicing these principles in all my affairs is, it's not always an easy task. I think the most challenging places are in work, are in relationships, and with family, and you know, I think one of the biggest principles that I had to learn to do when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous was to be honest. And so I think that was one of the first things that I needed to do. And, you know, not always easy to be honest in relationships with women, even at work. And like I was thinking of, I don't know why this popped into my head today, and I haven't thought about it in a long time. I got in a relationship, and was like kind of new to the relationship scenario, and it's talking about divorce and separation in here. And the woman that I got in a relationship, she had known that I had, you know, been divorced. It had been a little while. I was in a separation, and she was in recovery too, and so she asked me, goes, well, do you miss her? And I wanted to lie and say no, because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but whatever. But, you know, I was like, well, yeah, I miss her. Of course I miss her. And the thing that she said to me, she goes, well, that's good. Keep being honest. You know what I mean? And that was it. You know what I mean? And I thought about that, and I could have lied, you know. And it probably wouldn't have worked. It may very well have not worked out that well in that relationship. And you know, and I've been in other relationships where they started out with a small lie, and they didn't work out. And they were trivial, stupid lies, but it ruined the trust in the relationship. And you know, so I don't know why. I just kind of. Like that was a good indication on how to, you know, be honest, how important being honest is, and regardless of what the consequences may be. It talks about not, you know, the other thing in the reading, it talks about not getting involved with the quarrels and arguments in relationships, and I'm actually working with a guy now and bringing him through the reading, and lo and behold, he's got relationship problems and issues. and he's talking about them. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm holding back. Because I'm like, well, why don't you try this and do that? And she says this, you can do that. And this is all the stuff that's kind of going through my mind. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't participate in arguments. I can't participate and try to tell them what they should say or what they should do. You know, it just, you know, I have to just keep it as simple as, you know, do this work, and you know, you'll reap the benefits from it. So I was going through a divorce and a separation, very difficult. You know, I kind of gauge like when I wasn't ready for recovery and when I was. When I wasn't, I remember, you know, I was separated. I was living in a sober house. It talks about, you know, not getting back with the with a significant other too quick, and I remember being in a sober house, and it's like, I wanted to get back. It was important for me to get back and take care of the family, pay the bills, and do all this stuff, and that was the main thought in my mind. And I put all that stuff first, and I didn't have a relationship with the higher power or God of my understanding, and therefore, I didn't get sober. So it talks about that in here. If those are the things that are going through my mind, or anybody else is sitting here is going through your mind, then it's a red flag. And somebody tried to tell me that too, but I didn't want to listen. So, I didn't get sober at that particular time. So, the key thing I think is, to have the most important thing is about getting sober, developing a relationship with God, working the steps, and those are the most important things. I ended up going back too soon. I remember I went back, it was too soon, and I couldn't handle the pressure or the resentments and all that stuff that came along, and the jealousy and the arousal. It talks about that, working with the family, talking to the family and the significant other, and asking them to try not to arouse resentment or jealousy and stuff like that. And I remember, that was one of the reasons that I relapsed many a times. I went back with her too soon. She was good at, I don't know if she was doing it intentionally. I have a sick alcoholic mind. I get jealous and suspicious and angry and resentful at, how she behaved and conducted herself, and then I would relapse. So, I think it's pretty interesting that they cover that in here, and that, that's something that, we got to watch out for. So, I should have just stayed. I shouldn't have went back so early. I remember when I look back at that time, I should have just focused on my recovery, stayed in that sober house. But I didn't. I went back and, and I relapsed. So, there's a lot of good, things in here that I can look at and, try to help somebody else with, if possible. It says, but you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. So I highlighted that. I think that was, something that was real good for me. I gotta give a good, clear message. I gotta be walking this walk and trying to do the best I can and live an honest life and be honest at work, be honest in my relationships, and try to convey that to whoever I'm working with, like to live by spiritual principles, be honest, try to understand where other people are coming from, have an open mind. You're resentful at work, why? Because, I remember, like I get angry, resentful at work, because they asked me to do my job, It's just like, all right. So, what is the, what's going on, so, I can be just as still sick in this area, so, I gotta, try to convey a message that, I go in, I give a good, hard, honest day's work, I don't steal from work, I don't take little things, even though sometimes I can be tempted. I try not to get resentful and angry at the boss when they ask me to do my job, or, I do something that, that I don't want to do. I do a lot of things that I don't want to do at work, and sometimes there are things that I don't want to do, and sometimes I was thinking about this, like I almost kind of like, I'm like, I don't want to go share on this because, I'm not perfect in this area, and I was thinking about my job, and I had a recent situation happen where they asked me to do a job that I didn't want to do, and I refused to do it. Pretty much, I said I'll do it, but I made it perfectly clear that I'm going to be leaving. And that's not the way, I want to operate. I justified it because I actually covered it in the interview. I said, this is the one part of the job that, I'm not doing. I don't want to do. If you're in a jam, I'll do it. But so they asked me to do it, and they kind of made it clear that they were going to have me doing it for a while. And then, Not every day, but for an extended period of time. And I got resentful, and I made it clear that, you know, I'm going to be on my way. And so it's kind of like, you know, there's like a little balance there. And to be honest with you, that's like the honest part of me, working this in the job environment. And that was actually pretty hard because, you know, because once I say that, once I make that commitment, I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to trust and I'm going to rely on God that if I leave, then I'm going to be okay, regardless. So I made that clear, and they didn't ask me to do it. And then I was like, oh shit, now I'm going to get fired. Now, I got my way, so I still didn't win. I got my way. Somebody else is doing the job that was doing it before. And now I got my way, and I'm like, oh shit. Now they don't like me because I won't do the job. Nobody else, you know, everybody else at my job is probably saying, oh, that guy's a jerk. What, he's too good to do this job? So I lost anyways, you know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of funny, you know. I should have just sucked it up and did it. But, you know, I didn't. So, you know, part of me didn't want to share on this stuff because of that, you know what I mean? But, you know, I'm not perfect. You know, I can be, you know, like a little child at times. So, but anyway, so that was, you know, that's one thing. It says if you've been successful in solving your own domestic problem, tell the newcomer's family how that was accomplished. You know, I don't know, it talks about, you know, we can get sober whether the family comes back or not. You know, and that was my case as far as like divorce and separation. I got divorced, and you know, and I really, that was tough. That was a hard thing to go through, and but you know, my main thing was my relationship with God. I remember, you know, that I had a good, strong fellowship here. You know, I learned from the past that I can't put people ahead of my sobriety. And, you know, regardless of whether she came back, you know, I was going to get sober. And you know, at that time, it was really difficult, emotionally painful. And I had you know, I had a good relationship with God. So, regardless, either way, you know, I'm going to be fine as long as I'm spiritually fit. And talks about in here towards the end that, you know, we can go anywhere and we don't have to be shielded from alcohol. You know, they talked about, you know, and that's the case for me. You know, it's just a great miracle of this, of you know, doing this work and this book and doing these steps and getting a sponsor and being guided through this, and you know, just being able to be in that environment and to be able to have a good time without wanting to drink or do drugs, you know, and to be a part of the situation, whether it's a work party, Christmas party, or whatever. You know, I've gone to those and been able to have a good time and not be miserable because I couldn't drink. And you know, I remember being like that. And, you know, as a result of doing this work, I've had that spiritual experience where the obsession and craving's gone, and I can go and have a good time and be a part of it and socialize and not be miserable. So, you know, that. That's definitely a miracle. So, the proper time and place, explain to your friends why alcohol disagrees with you. If you do this thoroughly, few people will ask you to drink. Yeah, that's a funny one. I was thinking about that while we were reading. And, you know, I don't really come across that situation that often. I don't really talk about that I'm an alcoholic and bring it up while I'm out at social events. It's just not an issue. And I usually don't, you know, I don't get asked. But it's interesting, you know, if somebody asks me why I don't, you know, would I come out and tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? I mean, what happens to me, when I pick up a drink, it's not pretty. He wouldn't like it. I'm very antisocial, could become violent, could, do something stupid, say something stupid, not stop, do drugs, If I gave them the whole picture, they'd be like, nah, that's all right, maybe you shouldn't drink. Maybe, I can see him saying that, it's in there. So, but so there's a lot of different principles that I don't know, I just wrote down: honesty, love, patience, tolerance, understanding, open-mindedness, and I don't know, I wrote courage. So I learned a lot of different principles that this process has us participate in spiritual principles that have saved my life. So if you're thinking about doing this writing, it was, it was hard, it wasn't easy, it was difficult, it was a commitment. But I wanted to do it. I wanted to get better. I remember coming into Big Book Step Study, I didn't like the way my relationships were going, and and I wanted something better. I got a message that people were navigating themselves through life differently and in a better way, and I wanted what they had here. So I'm glad I did, and that's all I got. Thanks.